Okay, yeah. For recording purpose, we are discussing our leaderboard design today. For the first 30 minutes, we will discuss our own ideas and design choices. And then next 45 minutes, typically we go over Alex Zoo part 2 leaderboard design. So that is the idea.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I was just, it is not, I'm writing it, but everybody is driving me, okay, for the first 30 minutes because I am also not sure about the design. But but let's come up with the functional requirements first. So basically, I mean, this is what the basic, very basic high level diagram that I can see, that these are the clients. Uh, these are the clients two, clients three, like users one, users two, users three, and we play a game, and all these we play a game, and all the data will be sent to the server, and finally from the server, right? So we got a um, top, I mean, priority order, right? Order. Uh, what is the leaderboard is a ranking or whatever, right? Is that my understanding correct?
Yeah, for a MVP, I think this looks good.
Yeah, yeah,
This is what
that's
goes.
just a basic idea. Then based on that, we will see.
Yeah,
This is what, right? The problem, whole problem is crux of
yeah,
the problem, right?
yeah.
Okay, okay. So okay, then. So what do you guys think about functional requirements for this? Um, so I think
Display the top 10 players on the leaderboard and maybe show the user specific rank.
so. That's it's good.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. So yeah, that's display is what. One sec.
Display top 10 players on leaderboard, and then second can be show user specific rank.
One more thing, right here. So are we only designing the displaying part, right? So that means like the user should be able to, like, the first part, right? First part, there are no requirements, anything, because
I think
display
that is
part
the
was
only
not.
requirement. Users are playing the game, and based on whether they win or whatever activity happens in the background, the leaderboard is reflecting the ranking accordingly. I think it's
Like,
all about
Yeah.
leaderboard.
like,
See,
should we think about any scoring system, or like that can
yeah,
be abstracted?
that is what I added. Update the score.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, that is a part of it. But final thing is, of course, you win the game. So that's what I'm depending on the result of the game you're playing. Uh, End thing is display. The dashboard has to be updated, which is a leaderboard. So whatever activity, whether you're playing X game, Y game, and then whatever is the consequence, once you manipulate it, then final thing should be
Correct.
reflected on it. So playing game is not a part of it, of course, but it is an understood thing.
But the thing, right? Playing game is not part of thing, but again, right, we have to add a post API, right? That means like sending or streaming of data, right? So that should be part. If that is a part of our design, then we have, I mean, like, bit more extension, right? That's what I'm saying. Or if we are considering all the data is already pushed to server, and then just we are only working on the one part, that is like just updating the part. So that is secondary. You getting my point, right? What I'm saying.
Yeah, I get your point. So basically, based on that, I think the APIs can be like, like let's say you play a game, so you post scores, you get the
Yeah,
scores,
yeah,
for the specific one, and then you can also get it for the specific user ID. Yeah,
correct. So
API.
yeah, so that means like we need to update
Yeah,
these codes or send these codes,
Um,
and
if I
start ranking. Okay. Yeah.
yep,
Any
can
requirement?
I
Just send it.
suggest?
Just send it. Whether we design it or no, but we'll just list down the requirements at least.
Um, can I suggest in the interview, my big problem is I list too many requirements, don't have time to cover them all.
Correct, 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 correct.
So
That's true. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
maybe we can do this. I watched a Top Can video yesterday, very detailed video, and leaderboard itself is sufficient enough to take the whole hour, even without the boilerplate of API gateway, load balancer. So we can say that we have a stream of events coming from something like Kafka, and how the events get to Kafka is different API question, like design some game that writes data to database, right? And now we have this Kafka stream, and we can talk about top 10 and how do we calculate top 10 if you have a lot of players and very high frequency, like updates, that will be complex enough. Let's time ourselves, and then at the end, maybe we'll see how close in 30 minutes we get to getting it all sorted out. Then we can come back to this point and say, hey, we can add some other things on the left
Yeah.
of this chart.
Yeah. So to make it clear, we have a, yeah, this is what we have a stream of human coming up, and whatever map reducer, everything, or HDFS, what it is storing it. Now our requirement here is to update the score or display the rank. I mean, and display the ranking. Right. That's our requirement. Cool. Anybody, everyone is same. Everyone on same page.
So how many players?
Yeah. Yeah. Will. Yeah. That's will add it. Yeah. So that's will add it. Yeah. What do you guys think about enough? Is it HA? We are building HA
So,
Real time.
in terms of updating the scores, are we thinking about any granularity, any frequency, or like that? Um,
real time?
if it's a real time, then if it has to be like sort of the scores needs to be consistent, right? Like, or like in terms of frequency, if the frequency of update is high, then we will have a consistent score. Right.
I mean, what I mean, events like updating the records.
Yeah, in
How,
terms of,
how often you call your API? That's what you say.
yeah.
So here we have a stream of events happening. Okay,
Mhm.
and maybe we can add a delay of 10 seconds or 15 seconds processing delay. Okay, based on yesterday discussion from the Kafka pipelines and all. That's the one thing we can add um, for the time being.
Mhm.
Is it um, so? Is it make sense? Or usually, I mean, this is a more delay though, but depends on the pipe underneath pipeline what we are using it in the how
I
fast we are
think
sending.
I think this the nature of the problem is real time, right?
Correct. It's a real time. Yeah.
So yeah, so
So
it should be real time. Yeah.
yeah.
So when you mean like after 10 second it will update, like so the margin of will be 10 second or something like that.
What's other?
Since it updates up every 10 second, let's say, or like, so the margin of error could be for,
That's not inside. That's not even Ruchir was saying. 10 second is not applicable. 10 second is not acceptable here. There
okay,
has to be less than a second and a kind of real time, almost like real time.
okay.
Okay. So this is. I think that's a part two. Maybe we can discuss like how which pipeline we have to use and all. Like, that's part two maybe. No, or we'll read it. Okay. It should be real time. Okay. So these are prerequisites. I'm adding it. Yeah. Um, are we good? Anybody wants to suggest HA or strong
What
consistent?
is the what is the part two you're saying?
No, the part one, part two, right here. They say part two is like if it is a near real time. I mean, it's a real time, right? What kind of pipeline you're using the your streaming part, right?
So I think like to bring it to like as in like kind of trade off. So if we are talking about the scoring of top 10 ranks, then there could be a slight delay in terms of moving up and down the top ranks, right? So that kind of a, that is something like an eventual consistency. uh,
We'll add in our
this
non-functional requirement. We'll see. Okay, that
okay.
one we'll add it, and then we'll discuss whether what everybody think. Huh?
But I think in this design, eventual consistency is not a desired thing. I think it's a real-time updates on the scores, you know. So otherwise, I feel if we introduce any kind of async uh, synchronization in the middle, I don't know whether it could be streaming or they all will have some delays, right? So
Actually,
that will not be an ideal for this kind of
but
design.
but when we say real time, that brings us to the availability, right? In terms of real time operation, our availability should be high, but when terms in terms of scoring, we are thinking about strong consistency, or let's say, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
yeah,
Storing, I
case
agree.
based, right?
trade-off, we have to take a hit on any of these, right? In terms of
Yeah, I think my point is in this for this especially for this design, somehow we have to achieve both. Actually, it has to be strong consistent because the score should not be lost, right? It should not be. It has to be. I mean, even though one node is down, that score has to be. We can read it from other node, but has to be very consistent. Else, it will be a problem, right? So, and again, the system has to be available all the time
uh,
because if it is eventual consistency means right, the scores mismatch can happen, and then the ranking will change, right?
So I'm perceiving eventual consistency here as in this way. Like let's say right now the ranking are like, let's say T1, T2, T3, T4. Like this is how the players are ranked. Let's say if any of the upheaval happens, let's say it can take 5 second or 10 second for the ranks to change, for the leaderboard. Generally, when it, like in real scenario, let's take a real world case. In real world case, they it takes the human being some time to replace the leaderboards, right? Like, and there are like you can see
No,
the
no,
same
no.
data.
You F1 race. Just imagine F1 race or these bike racings,
Uh-huh. Oh, makes
right?
sense. Okay, okay,
Right. Those bike racing, right? It is. I mean, the moment when they touch the rope, right, it will be displayed there, right?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the order will immediately changes, right?
Yeah. Okay, in that case, like bringing both would be challenging, I would say, like
Yeah.
to bring both.
And that's what I mean. That is example or use case is there in my mind. But let's open up discussions what everybody thinks.
Scalability. Sorry, I joined late. Scalability is, I think, one point, right?
Yeah, yeah. We'll add scalability. Yeah, scalability, all fault tolerance.
Yes. High, I think fault tolerant will like. I think fault tolerant should come under the high availability, right? That's
Okay, okay, yeah.
fine.
We,
Yeah, fault tolerant and high availability goes together actually.
Together, yeah, that's fine.
Uh, Scalability will, yeah, it will be crucial later on when,
okay.
yeah, we'll see.
So yeah, for the time being, we will park it here and we'll go to the next calculation. Uh, so
One more that we should consider the real-time update, right?
yeah, that is what already in the prerequisite we
Oh,
have.
okay, okay, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. So we don't calculate fully, but at least like we will add how many users and at least some details. Okay, well, what do you guys think? So daily active users, it is not daily active users, right? At the same time, it is not daily active users, right? This one for this
It might be number of participants, right?
number of participants. Um,
So,
yeah.
so how often we release this score?
Yeah, players, you can say.
Um, let's say active users. How many typically like million, not millions and all, right?
Yeah, I
Maybe
think we can go with a million active daily active users.
yeah, because maybe if you go for a marathon, right? Maybe like million. Yeah, maybe yeah. Okay.
Yeah, peak load we can go with. Yeah, and so
Um,
what is like
So
one player can play more than one game in a day, right? So that way, if let's say if on average if people are playing 10 games in a day, then oh, right, so 1 million times 10 is like 10 million.
So games per user, right? Or plays per user, okay? How many? 10? Let's consider 10.
Yeah, yeah, we can go with, just for the sake of calculation, 10
So
is
10
easy.
power 7.
Yeah,
Okay. Then, so typically,
yeah, 10
what
raised to 7. So what is a per second QPS we can calculate, right?
right? So okay, there's another point, right? What is read write ratio here? Read write ratio. What do you guys think?
So
Yeah,
there are two APIs, right? One will be writing all the results to somewhere,
Correct.
and the other one will be getting the
Yeah,
score for leaderboard.
it's one by
So
one,
the
right?
first one is 100% right, and the
Yeah,
second one is pretty much 100% read. So now
yeah.
is a yeah.
It's
So that's
more
what I
write
look
and
for.
read heavy machine. This is right. It has to be. Yeah. So it's just like 1:1 ratio, and that means like write and read heavy ratio. Okay. Um, so it's like typically 10 power 7 divided by 10 power 5, which is 86,400. Okay. Which is 100 per second, right? Is it
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Right. So we have both 100 per second read and ratio and bandwidth. What is the each payload will be here? KB, how much we are posting, right? Posting means rank. It has to be very less, right? The payload, right?
Payload is what user ID and score,
Yeah.
right?
On
Server calculates the score and you store that in
like
some
hardly a string, two
storage.
strings, right? 8 characters, 8 bytes, huh?
User ID, let's say 5 characters, 5 bytes, right? Just for the sake of calculation, and 4-digit integer number if we consider, then it is how many? 16 bytes.
32. Okay. Total maybe like we say 64 bytes. One worst case, all with the hash with the long usernames, hashing everything.
So 16 byte is for user and the score, right? For one user.
One user
No, 61 user name plus score. The score will be integer.
score is integer, which is 32-bit, right?
Hmm.
User is a 5 characters or a 10 characters or whatever, right? So maybe like or
Correct.
40 bytes. Let's say example in worst case. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. 8 plus 32.
No,
Okay.
8 plus yeah, 32. That one byte.
Okay. Let's go to the
32.
and 32 is a score. Okay.
Yeah, the 40. Yeah,
So
that
then
one.
yeah, we will calculate it later
Hmm.
for that bandwidth based on that 100 into 40 bytes. That's it. Okay.
That's true. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, this is per user, so
Per
total
user.
Right.
That's
GPUs.
right. Okay.
Mhm.
100 into 40, right? Per
Mm.
user. So if somebody can calculate and give me the number, that would be really helpful while I'm writing.
400 bytes per second is the bandwidth, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, 4,000. 4,000.
4,000. Yeah, for
Are you
4,000.
are you
4 KB,
not
right?
are you not considering ranking there? We just score the username and the scores, right? How about ranking?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes.
No, ranking is a different API, right? Ranking is, I mean,
But you,
for ranking, we
Hmm.
But
need
you have to save it, right? That's what
what that?
storage.
For ranking also, right? It, the same thing will happen, right? Ranking also, right? because for ranking you need a get API to fetch those details, right? For that also same thing will happen, no? Username plus the rank.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So it will be displayed on the same scoreboard.
Yeah, so that means
Yeah.
like post API also same because 1:1 ratio, right? Post API also 40 bytes, and for ranking, which is a get API, that is also 40 bytes response we get it, right? So egress and ingress are same thing here, right?
Correct.
Is it okay, Annie? Oh, no, 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 Vani, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it so? Okay. So maybe we'll discuss once we are reading it answer a little bit more because we'll go to the next step quickly on the design part. So 10 power 6 is 1 million users into 4 KB. Okay. This is a total bandwidth. Okay. Which is 10 power 9, which is 4 MB, yeah? Or 4 gig. 4 into 10 power 9 KB MB gig. 4 GB we need bandwidth, right? Okay. So but we'll revisit. Okay, this part. I'm just adding. So if okay, so let's go back to a little bit dive deep into
And
that.
and Srini, do you want to calculate total number of storage so that we can calculate the storage servers, right?
Okay,
So 4 KB is like per second, but what would be total per year? So that kind of thing we can.
okay. So
So
storage, right?
that also depends on how much historical data we want to keep, right, per game. Like the game could be momentary, like per day, like within a day a game could be done, right? But if you want to keep a historical data of 6 months or like,
Yeah,
so this is not something where we have to keep. Do we have to keep like the data for years? I don't
Should
think
be
so.
right because if you say our cricket list, right? I mean, we push it to the database. If you push it to the underneath some database solutions, and we'll store it, right? I mean archive data we'll use it
yeah,
because we're getting like even 20 years 83 cricket score list also right now if you fetch it. But latency will be more. I think we have to use two different storages. One is more active storage or kind of blob storage. One is more our OLAP storages, right? So that means that archive data will be right after 1 month or 6 months, we push all this data to the archived. I mean, we archive the data, but
yeah,
whenever in the future we need it, we'll get it back, right?
Okay, makes sense.
So, but right now, first we'll calculate the active data. That means like I mean like okay, retention period. Let's talk about retention period in this sense, right? So 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 1 month. What do you guys think? Before pushing to the archive data, archive storage.
yeah. Tournaments run for a month, right?
Yeah,
Generally,
30 days.
so we have to
And
maintain
then
active.
okay, archive data, which is a cheaper data, glacier storage or whatever. Okay, so this is for long period. Okay, but first we'll calculate it for 30 days. First one. Okay, so 30 into how much? How much data we have? 4 gig, right? Total, right? Um, how many users we have? 1 million. So this 4 gig, right? Per second, this much data we need, right? 30 into 4 gig per second we need, right? No, no.
How did you
I
calculate that?
think
4
no,
gig?
that's correct. So this is our bandwidth. 4 gig is our bandwidth. Uh, so we need it for 4 gig per second is the 4 gig per second is the bandwidth. Then we have to calculate per day and 30, right? 30 into per this is per second and per minute is what 60 per minute into 24, right? Into 4 gig. Is this correct?
Um, do we really need to keep score for every second going back any more than like say 2 hours?
The question here is, do we need to store every second data, right? Could you
Yeah,
repeat
so
it?
data is very frequently changing, right? High frequency. People play like every second data changes many times, right? So we need to calculate and give you what happens right now. That is core of our question. But as far as storing it and who was leader at 723 milliseconds ago, that question was not given to us, right? So
No.
I'm curious if we need to store and what do we really, let's focus on the uh, presenting your API that tells you right now who is the leader top 10 ranked by score, right? And leave the archiving analytics to
Yeah,
different subjects
correct,
because it is time is
correct,
time.
correct, correct. I think you have a good point. This one, right? We need top 10 scorers, right? Uh, top 10, not top 10, right? All the scores has to be stored, no? Right?
Correct, all the score, and also I think one more 60 we need to apply, multiply, right? 60 is for minute. Again, 1 minute will have 60 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the calculation, but we'll revisit it. Okay. Let's go back to the next section. What do you guys think? Because we have already 30 minutes past.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
quickly come
actually,
up with the API and high level design, and then we'll go into it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
yeah.
Yeah. So typically we need two APIs, right, for us here, right? Um, uh, this get API. This is get API. Um, okay, get. See, can anybody now question, right? Can anybody suggest the API names? What endpoint names? What endpoint names? Okay, so imagine the names has to be a nouns. One, two, three, quick.
Score.
Okay, scores are score.
Scores is better.
Okay,
Scores.
okay, yeah. Next, post API. Quick. What should we name?
Nothing, just a request body, right? User ID and
But
uh,
we need an endpoint name, right? For score for post.
Add
yeah.
score.
So we say
Add
I
score.
think it could be get top scores versus get post scores, right? There could be
Yeah,
individual scores posted and top score read, right?
add scores and get scores is enough, right?
You can't use
Microsoft
add
said use
scores.
just noun,
Okay.
not verb.
Highest score.
Uh,
Highest score. Something.
Or
Okay.
maybe just score, post score.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
scores is good
Score.
noun. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fine. Yeah, right. Let's consider scores and let's revisit this later. But okay, what should be the post body, right? Username, right? Correct. And then score, right? Score or what do you call that one? What did we say earlier? Uh,
Yeah, score.
Score only, right?
Yes.
Score username is an integer. Score. I mean, username is a string. This is an integer. Okay. 1 2 3 4 5 whatever sample, right?
So
And
how do we bring that value 1 2 3 4 5, right? If we envision that, then this is running on server, right?
Mhm.
So every single minute we are every single seconds we are calculating the scores and we are storing it somewhere. So basically the API, how do you get to 1 2 3 4 5?
Actually, this API we don't need unfed because we are part of the streaming engine, right? We don't post anything from user actually. We have to fetch it from that, right?
So even if it's a streaming API, we still need to post a message, right? Like any kind of, like, even though not in API format, but we will still need the to post the message in maybe just on payload or like that.
Okay. Can um, I don't know why I'm not able to. Okay. See, right here, you based on this example, you tell me like what we are doing it here. Post means.
Yeah, here we are not posting anything because the posting is done by backend, like some admin guy or some whoever adding to the server. We just reading here, right? Displaying the things.
No, in end-to-end system, both will come. So okay, so like one will be like collecting the scores and then calculating and then displaying. Like so, the read part is just for the like display purpose, but we also need the write pipeline, right? Like data ingestion pipeline.
So my um, it is not exactly. I feel like REST API based post here. We can't do that. I mean, for posting from user, right? It has to be
Somewhere, some admin or some other user.
that has to be
No, this
the
is not
main.
admin. This is actually a game server. Based on certain event, we're gonna add that particular score to the existing score. Correct? Let's say if I'm playing a football, soccer, right? If I make a goal, then I may already have like 100 points. Then I will be adding 20 more points. If it is a 20 points for each goal, correct?
That means user
So
has to send a request, right? Or
yeah, so post request would have a specific score, which is based on event. If it is goal, 20 points. If it is probably just touching the net, maybe like 5 points. Just an example, okay? Like that. So
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
and then that like whatever the posts, the scores posted, as you mentioned, could be aggregated, right? To create the topmost
yeah,
scores.
yeah. That's underneath our server. I mean service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the
Also,
V1. So, mhm.
one question here: do we need a timestamp to add, or server time could make sense here? Because like if you mention about like the queues or the Kafka pipeline, the message could get delayed, right? So, do we need a like a user posted timestamp in that to handle the
Yeah,
order?
It is required actually.
it is. Yes, it is required.
So then we yeah. So later, right? Just revisit this calculation because we are adding a timestamp of time of 32 bit, 32 bit. So our size will changes. Okay, yeah.
Can you explain me why we are going for post here? Like somebody said, like I missed that.
Ruchir, please.
Mm. Now, what is the question, Vanishri? You are saying why are you posting?
Post event. Like, the
Yeah,
post.
okay. So imagine, right? Players, there is a soccer game going on. Players are making a goal. Okay, what do you do? Right? Team A has made a goal. What do you do? You have to give them a 20 points, right? I mean, so whatever X number of points they're supposed to get, you have to give them, right? So this post API will assign that many amount of points and add it to the existing score, right? So that's why we are assuming that if it is a 20 points, then we are just passing that 20 points here. So for every single goal, they will be getting 20 points.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me.
Okay.
Mhm.
So on time checkpoint, Sagar, we are at 10:40. So we'll continue discussing this way, and later tomorrow or other day we'll read it. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, we can.
I mean,
Makes sense.
what do you
We
guys
have a
think about
flow
this?
here, so let's continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. So what do we expect from the get call? What is the key and what are the values here? Okay.
User ID and score.
Yeah, user ID, user ID, and rank and a score. I think, right? Yeah.
User ID, score,
User
and
ID, rank, and a score.
okay. It's kind of maybe okay. Is this the correct way of representation? Anyone? Okay, just revisit this format. Okay, offline. Okay, so let's go back to the next section. So yeah, before going to the database design, right? Um,
Oh, so username also, username we are not give only user ID is enough, or username also we will.
No, through user ID you can get the username, same as like how you are putting there.
Okay. Rakesh, the user ID should be duplicated, right? My point. Unique ID, right?
Yeah, user ID should be unique, right?
Yeah. Are we good so far? Any questions? Anything? Okay. So if I'm not hurry. Just please pause me. Yeah? Okay. So let's talk about database, or we go to the high level design. What do you guys think?
So, as in database design, as in like schema, right? I mean,
Yeah, schema. What database we need it now, and at least like some kind of a schema, at least. Okay, some schema, because we see
so
we have a post, right? So username and what username score, right? Do we need is it here? What kind of database need? Because we are a strong
Yeah,
consistency, right? We choose strong consistency earlier.
yeah,
So
we
what?
have like a profile information, each user's profile, right?
Yeah.
That profile data would be there and score data will be there. These two are the ones.
so in terms of read write scalability, like which path needs to be highly performant? Like, do we need read high scale reads or do we need high scale writes here?
Both is required. but actually the right should be, I mean, reads displaying board, right? Also same thing, right? It's also same thing. Strong consistent. It has to be equally balanced, Sagar, right?
Yeah, I would say like there would be like the right frequency should be higher because we are anyways like collecting and aggregating the scores. That, like as we were talking about game server, I think as Ruchir mentioned, there would
So
be lots of user emitting the scores which need to consistently aggregate versus the read could be spaced like per second we can have a refresh rate like something like that.
no. The one point, right? What I'm thinking, right? So this is what, if we update the board after 1 second, right? I mean, like underneath, like if we are designing a bidding system for this, that will completely messed up, right? Also, right? It has to be. Um, you getting my point, right? Or delay shouldn't be much for displaying the results, right?
Okay. Okay.
Any kind of these horse riding and all that, they displaying it immediately, right?
Okay. But then like how would that be possible? Like the choice of database I'm thinking actually.
We need to go with the two databases maybe for here, duplicating some of the data to different databases. Yeah, that is what we'll discuss about it. So, to make it very clear for everyone, right? Just open suggestion also. We are going write heavy, read heavy, both. Okay, so both. Uh, is that a correct assumption? Because or else we can't come up with the database now.
Yeah, it's more of a write than read, because when you read, you're only reading top 10 people score, right? But when you write, you are writing each and every user's data, correct?
But still, right, in the leaderboard, right, it lists, if I have 10K, I mean 1 million users, it has to list all 1 million users report, right?
No, no,
No,
top
no,
10
it's
only.
top 10 only. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If that is the case, it's
So
a little right
can
heavy
we
in this.
let's say so even like I think we should have done this. I should have asked this question before. Can we think about a game in mind for a better clarity? Let's say, I think Ruchir you mentioned F1 race, right? Or let's say horse. I think what we say
I mentioned F1 race horse riding
F1
by
race,
keeping it
anything like
in
that.
mind.
So if we keep that in mind, then designing around that would be easy maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
See, bowling,
We,
right? If you take bowling, maybe 1 second display is fine for that.
Exactly. I
Okay.
initially I was thinking that terms.
But
yeah,
if I assume about this F1 racing, right? No, 1 second delay is not at all acceptable.
yeah. We
Right?
can say like horse riding or F1, one of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
So for
control.
that, yeah, for that it has to be I mean, immediately, right?
Yeah.
Sagar Shimi is a rich guy in
I
sci-fi
wish.
games.
I wish.
No, actually, I was working for the F1 race, right? I was working for a backend for that once last year. So it is super painful. Even most recently, right? This one, what is that? Are football games, right? Even football games, right? All kind of games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. When the goal is happened, it immediately has to display in the board, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, right. Let's go
So
with the writing way
I
first.
think again, it's good to ask this question to the interviewer, right? Because like I could see that our assumptions are could significantly change if the game changes here. Like,
Okay. So for the time being, right? Okay. So which kind of game we want to support? F1 racing.
yeah,
Okay. So I'm adding it in the prerequisites. Okay. So then nobody has any confusion. Okay.
You can change the question as not which game we support, which level we apply. If we apply beginning of career person, we can support bowling or soccer takes 5 minutes to score. And if we apply higher level, then we need F1 or something like that.
Okay. Good point. Okay. So what do we consider now? Which one we consider?
We go with F1 only.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay. So what could be the database here, right? So what kind of database we needed? This is a way write heavy and as well as read heavy, but let's talk about write heavy first and also strong consistent, right? So usually if it is a write faster means we go with the Cassandra or Dynamo or any kind of NoSQL databases. But NoSQL databases is like more of eventual consistency, right? But here we need a strong consistency, right?
Yeah, start with naive approach.
Yeah,
If you start with a naive approach, I think that's the ideal way of doing an interview as well. That hey, MySQL, RDMS definitely not suitable for this, right? We have to say that it
Hmm.
cannot support such a real-time writes and all. So we have to go to the next level. What is the next possible option? Any NoSQL choice for this? Well, Cassandra does support high trivia operations, but read will not be that fast, right? It also has an eventual consistency, which is also not good for this particular scenario, right?
correct. That's what
And
I'm
what
doing.
is next? Then what is next option we have? DynamoDB. Think about that. Think about
I think
MongoDB.
none of the
Yeah,
database will give you the real time thing, right? So I think we have
yeah,
to option is only the Redis. Redis will be, real time option is Redis. I feel.
that's
Yeah,
no, that is correct. That's in-memory database is what we have to use.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, correct, correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But what I'm saying is right. This is how we should present in the interview. That
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we have to.
yeah,
Yeah, we should go in a
yeah,
sequential way. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just-
okay. So to make it clear, SQL, okay, not suitable. Can anybody wants to reiterate why it is not suitable? So the third option we have SQL not suitable, no SQL is
Uh,
also not
the
suitable.
SQL is not suitable, right? Mongo is a no SQL. So Mongo.
Mongo, I said Mongo is not SQL, but Mongo is acid properties, right? So that is why I considered. I mean, Mongo is part of NoSQL though,
Hmm.
but it is strong consistent, right? Than Dynamo or anything because it supports
Yeah.
acid properties. That's why I added as both in one
Okay,
combination.
okay, okay. Okay, this supports AdSeed. Okay, that's
Yeah. Okay, so for this, our choice is in memory. Okay.
Srini, if you don't mind, why it is not suitable, also just put one or two lines. When we revisit later, it might be useful.
Yeah, we can add it later. I can add it later. And anybody feel free to add it. Yeah, I'll add that point. Okay. Okay. So now we wanted to. Okay. So in Redis, right? What could be our schema? Redis is just a key value pair, right? Right. What could be key and what is the value?
User
Key is
ID is key.
user ID and the value is a combination of the score, right? Score is the value is enough, right?
Yeah.
We don't need
User
to add a timestamp. By default, timestamp will be added to this, right? Entry. Or do we need to store that too?
I
Yeah.
think by default it's added, I guess. But you need to create the column for. No.
Okay. Okay. So the question. Okay, timestamp needs to be added. Okay, we'll come back. Okay. So okay, yeah. Let's wind it over. Let's draw a little bit high level overview because we are just about to be in an hour. Okay. Now anybody wants to try high level architecture. First, we'll go with the diagram. Are we good here? Any questions? Anything?
Yeah.
I feel like I learned this Excel nicely.
So Redis, generally Redis in the design side be used for the cache, right? Generally.
Yeah, that is why we decided to use this in memory for this. Yeah, all operations are in memory.
No, so in this design we are only considering Redis DB, not any other database. In the sense Redis DB here we are using as a database, not cache.
Correct. But eventually, I mean, Redis is also persist the data.
Hmm.
It is not completely in memory. It's in memory, but data will be persisted.
Yeah, that consider okay. No, because in many design I see that in for database generally they use SQL and NoSQL, and for cache they use Redis. Even they are using the okay. Let us see. Okay.
I think what he's trying to ask, like, where will we have the persistent of the persistent for these scores, right? I mean, of course, we are having in memory, so he's thinking at it. It is a cache, of course, for faster access, but where will be the persistent for permanent storage, right? So I think we don't need any external database. It will be persistent in the Redis itself, because it has in memory and the database both.
Is it Aditya?
Yeah, Aditya, yeah.
Okay, okay, Aditya, okay.
Yeah.
I think just everyone just add your name to the Jitsi this chat so that we will understand.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm driving. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, that is
I'm
why I
driving.
couldn't able to hear you, Papa. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay, fine. Raghav did is that answers.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, thank you.
Also just go over after the session, right? Maybe like whatever the questions, if somebody can note it down, and then we will try to answer it. Okay. So let's go with the HLD part. Um, okay, so it's like a little bit of maybe extension of this, right? Uh, I mean, not little bit, but I'm just coming up with the. No.
Sorry, one more. Why Cassandra we have not chosen? Cassandra, that one no skill. That what we have found out. So sorry, I missed it. Looks like one Cassandra. Why we have not chosen Cassandra?
Okay, one thing is eventual consistency.
Hmm.
The Cassandra provides, but even though it's a rights heavy, but the consistency levels are not so strong. That's what the one assumption we
Oh,
were not considering.
okay.
Okay, now guys, tell me what components we need now.
Yeah, start with this API
Can
server.
we,
You already have it, right?
do we need a separate read write path, and then like that could help us design separate components for that?
Okay, for your suggestion, one sec, sorry. One sec, guys. Okay, first let's write a right path, right? You're saying right?
Yeah, so like my question was like, do we need a separate component for the read write path, or just keep the same component, like just like a generic component? Like,
We cannot be more separate component for right. Maybe we have more notification service or some other service for reading it, but it has to be the same ecosystem, right? No.
yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
What happened? Sorry, guys. Okay. So this is not client one, user one, right? These are user two. These are user three. Okay, and we have uh, LB, and we have this app server, right? Um, and then the typical architecture. Some come up with do we need a queue here? We need to queue the data. We need a queue, right?
Yeah.
A lot of says queue.
The queue is not meant for